When most people think of foraging, their mind probably jumps to mushrooms and being out in the wild, but really you can forage all sorts of things anywhere, even right here around Vancouver. So I'm here in Jericho Park with Robin Court, chef and owner of Swallowtail Foraging Tours, and we're going to show you some of the things that you can find right around here. Thank you for being with us.
Let's go. First stop, right here.
All right, so what are we looking at?
Lady ferns, and then the fiddleheads are the coiled up part of the fern, basically.
Wow.
So all ferns have little fiddleheads, but this is specific to the lady fern, which is an edible species. Not all ferns are edible, but lady fern is.
Right. How do you know which ones, what makes it so distinctive?
So lady fern, I like to say that lady fern looks a bit like a fat lady. So it's little leaflets start small here and kind of widen out into a fat lady and then taper down.
As
so
you
the
go
shape.
as you go up the fern.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And it also has a notched groove in the front of the stem there, so you can also take a look at that.
What part of the plant actually is the fiddlehead?
Yes, so that's the coiled up little fern here.
And you're not damaging the plant by foraging?
That's a good question. So when I'm in, these are quite small and young. I like to look for ones that are a little bit larger, and then only harvest one fiddlehead from each plant, because then the plant will keep growing, right? Also, you want the fiddlehead to be as young as possible, so I'll usually look near the base. This one doesn't really have any right now, but for the coiled up fronds down here. So you want the tightest ones possible. And I'll pick one from this one. These ones are too young to pick from, but I'll look around for more of them if I'm harvesting. We're in a park, so you can't legally ever harvest in parks.
Of course.
But there's lots of other areas in BC that you can find beautiful ferns like this. And I should mention ostrich fern as well.
Okay.
That's the more common species that you'll see in stores and stuff like that, like Whole Foods or whatever. They're a bigger fiddlehead. Coastal BC, everywhere. Yeah, wow. It's a very common species. Sword fern is also very common. Bracken fern can be found more in like sunny transition areas, meadow to forest sort of thing, but also very common, especially on like the Southern Gulf Islands. I have a place on Galliano. There's bracken fern everywhere along the sides of the roads there.
Amazing. And could you show me sort of, I know we can't harvest here,
but
if you were going to, how would you go about it?
But I would just cut it right there.
Okay.
And take the fiddlehead.
So just sort of a couple inches off the top.
And you don't even need a knife. You would just pinch it off, basically, throw it in your basket. And then I'll show you in a bit just about cleaning the little sort of brown hairs off the fiddlehead and then cooking.
And I know we can't forage here because we are in a park, but fortunately you've brought some that you've gotten elsewhere.
Yep.
So we don't need to worry about that.
Yep.
And I am so excited to try it.
Yeah.
So should we get cooking?
Let's eat.
Can you walk us through what we have on the table?
Yes, for sure. Okay, so we have our lady fern fiddleheads right there.
Very nice.
And then flowering currant blossoms. So that's a beautiful, this bush right here is flowering currant, and it's sort of sweet sage is the aroma. And this time of year they start budding, and they are super delicious in like cocktails and like added to salads and many different uses.
Wow.
But this is another way that you can just scatter them into a dish. And then this is a bit of maple blossom as well. So 2, 3, we've got 3 native ingredients that are super tasty. Have you tried any of them before?
Only fiddleheads and only once, and this seems like it's going to be much better than that. So I did not know what I was doing.
First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to boil these, because you must cook fiddleheads.
Right.
So it's recommended that you boil them for about 15 minutes, or you steam them for about 12.
Okay.
And that just denatures a toxin in them, so you never want to eat these raw, ever. All right.
It's been 15 minutes?
Yep, 15 minutes. You've done your boil, and now we'll just take them out of the water. I'm just going to get my pan a little warm. I've just got sesame oil. I'm just going to add a bit of Yutsu.
Bit of citrus?
Yep, bit of citrus. And then I'll serve them nicely on this plate. Fork in here for you. Go for it.
Thank you. Okay, together.
Yes, cheers. Cheers to the fiddlehead.
Cheers. Wow.
So good, right? They're so good.
It tastes great and also like accomplishment.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't get that when I buy stuff in a store.
No, you don't.
No.
Exactly.
Where should people be going to do this?
So legally in British Columbia, you're allowed to harvest on Crown land. There's a lot of area that's marked out as areas that you can forage for mushrooms, you can harvest firewood and Christmas trees and stuff like that.
Right.
You can always check, like phone BC Parks and just say I'm going to this area. Is it an okay area for me to harvest X, right? That's the most definitive way to find it.
That was so good. Thank you so much for showing us. I can't wait to go forage on my own.
Awesome. Yeah, let's go.
Wow. That looked like
Wow.
fun. I know. That was perfect. That was great. Looked like you had a lot of fun. Looks like you enjoyed some snacking. For people who've never tried fiddleheads, I must admit I haven't. What do they taste like?
Right, I said they taste like accomplishment, which is true, but not that helpful. It's sort of like a cross between asparagus and spinach, but sort of the best parts of both those things. So if you don't like either of those, then you might still like this. It was very delicious. Like she said, the flowering currant blossoms, so good, like sweet sage kind of. Amazing garnish. I put them on pretty much anything.
Nice. And remind us, Chef Robin said we should never eat them raw. Remind us why not.
Right, so there's a toxin in many of these ferns, these fiddleheads. It depends on the fern you eat. Some of them have more toxin than others. Some people prefer not to go for the ostrich fern because it does have, the bracken fern because it has a little bit more of those toxins. But as long as you boil them for 15 minutes, it doesn't matter what species of fiddlehead you harvest, as long as it's one of those edible ones, you're going to be totally fine. It's really only if you kept eating them, not boiled all the way, many, many, many times in a row, that you'd have a problem.
Word to the wise from the chef, Darius Mahdavi. Thanks very much.
Thank you.